Hello everyone, this is Samraj Kumar, Assistant Professor in Vignan University. I hope all of you are fit and fine at your home. I am here to teach you the subject Strength of Materials for Automobile. The subject code is 19AE 204. Now, first of all, I want to give the introduction about the strength of material. So why we should study what is strength, what is material, one by one we will discuss the things. So first is, what is strength? What do you mean by strength? So a strength is nothing but just a property of the material. So how much stress can be developed inside it. Otherwise, you can say that without failure, how much load it can sustain. So it is nothing but the maximum value of the stress developed inside the material before fracture takes place. That is called the strength. Now, why we need to study this subject? See, in engineering life, in application, daily we are using different materials. Before using the material, we must know the property of the material. Until we know the mechanical property of that material, we don't know what will be the behavior of the material. So first of all, before using that material, we must know its behavior and its property of the material. So that's why we should study this strength of material subject. In this subject, also we are calculating the stresses developed on that some different component due to different types of loads, and we are analyzing it. So that will be useful in the company for analyzing purpose, or it is also very much useful for your project purpose or research work. Next is, what are the basic knowledge required before studying the subject? So here I am discussing about the stresses and analyzing. So definitely before that, we have to study the mechanics. In mechanics, already we have studied the forces, the parallel forces, non-parallel forces, concurrent forces, its resultant, and so on, frictions, centroid, center of gravity. So all this basic knowledge we need before studying this subject. So we will go to first of all we will go to the stress. So what is stress? Direct stress. So you can see in this diagram, one rectangular bar is there, which cross sectional area is capital A, and one force is acting upward direction and downward direction. Pulling force is acting F. So let us say, due to this pulling force, some resistance force will develop inside the object. So that is equal and opposite to the applied force. So let us say it is F. It is shown here FH. Okay. So the resisting force, stress is nothing but the resisting force developed inside the object per unit area or per unit cross sectional area. So if you see in the third diagram, in that one cross sectional area is shown, that is red color one. It is showing the arrow mark, area force applied on that area, and that force applied, that is equal to the resistance force. So that's why we are writing the stress is equal to the applied force F divided by the cross sectional area A. So stress is equal to force by area. Formula we can give, stress equal to force by area, and the unit of the stress is Newton per mm square, because unit of force is Newton, area is in mm square, so Newton per mm square. Also we are writing Pascal. Pascal is also one of the unit of the stress. 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. 1 Newton per meter square. Next is strain. What is strain? strain actually change in dimension by the original dimension. That's called strain. If strain here it is shown, one rod is there, that original length is L, and after applying the force P, it got elongated by delta. Now the new length is L plus delta. So the strain is called the change in dimension. I told change in dimension by original dimension. Here change in dimension, it is in the direction of length. So it is change in length by original length, and the change in length is delta and original length is L. So delta by L gives the strain, and it is denoted by epsilon. There is no unit of the strain. Now types of stresses. What are the types of stresses? So here in the first diagram you can say compressive force, it is acting from upward direction and downward direction. So due to this force, the stress developed in that rod, in the object, is called the compressive stress. In the second diagram, tensile force is acting to pulling it. So due to this type of load, when a stress is developing inside the object, the stress is called tensile stress. In third one, if you see, it is two forces, it is acting parallel to each other and in opposite direction, and it is acting on the surface of that rod, plane surface, parallel to the surface. So that this type of force, the stress developed inside the object due to this type of force is called shear stress, and this phenomenon is called shearing. And the area where the force is acting, that is called shearing area, and the force which is acting tangentially or parallel to the surface, that is called shear force. So the shear stress formula will be shearing force divided by shearing area. Next, in the fourth diagram, it is given the torsion, twisting. We are trying to twist that rod. So that due to the twist, the stress developed inside the rod is called twisting stress, torsional stress. It is called torsional stress. And the last fifth diagram, it is trying to bend. A rod is there. We are applying forces, two vertical forces, and in middle opposite direction forces. So due to this force, the stress developed inside the element, inside the object, is called bending stress. Next is types of strains. So here it is shown, one is normal strain, second is shear strain, and third is volumetric strain. Normal strain is due to the load applied normally. If the load is applied in normal to the surface, normal to the area, then the strain developed due to that load is called normal strain. Shear strain, the strain developed due to the shearing force is called the shearing strain, and the volumetric strain, nothing but the change in volume divided by the original volume, is due to the volumetric strain, so volumetric stress. So this is called volumetric strain. Now normal strain is again divided into lateral strain and longitudinal strain. So longitudinal and lateral, by the name itself you can identify. Longitudinal means in the direction of the load applied. Longitudinal strain means it is the strain developed in the direction of load applied is called longitudinal strain, and lateral means the perpendicular direction to the load applied. If the load is applied in this direction, then the change in dimension in the perpendicular to this force. So perpendicular means all these directions, that is 360 degree in this direction. So all in this direction, the change in dimension divided by its original dimension will give the lateral strain. So we can understand this by this diagram. One rod is there, yellow color, blue color is the original rod. A force F is applied on this rod, F, So due to this force, it's got elongated. Its length is increased. Its original length was capital L and its length increased to L plus delta L. But at a time, its diameter decreased from capital D to D minus delta D. So the longitudinal strain, we can write it here delta L divided by L, because delta L is the change in length in the direction of force applied, and the lateral strain we can write delta D divided by capital D, because the delta D is the change in dimension in the perpendicular direction of the force applied. So this is about normal strain. Normal strain, again we have divided into linear longitudinal strain and lateral strain. Next is shear strain. So in the diagram, one rectangular object is there, 3D object. Shear stress is acting on that top surface. So due to this shear stress, that object got some inclination. It got inclined by angle theta. So this angle theta is known as shear strain, and we can calculate it by tan theta is equal to change in the position divided by height of that object. So change in the position or deformation, you can say, that is small w, and height is given as L. So tan theta we can write it as W by L, and if the theta is very small, we can write tan theta equal to theta, so that theta equal to W by L, and this is shear strain. Next is Hooke's law. Hooke's law states that stress is directly proportional to a strain within the elastic limit. The stress is directly proportional to a strain within the elastic limit, so that we can write sigma directly proportional to epsilon, or E. A small e here denotes the strain, sigma denotes the stress. So sigma is directly proportional to small e or epsilon. After removing the proportionality sign, we have to put one constant. So here it is kept here, capital E. Sigma is equal to capital E into a small e, where capital E is called as modulus of elasticity or Young's modulus of elasticity. And from this formula we can calculate capital E equal to sigma by a small e, that is stress by strain. So we can define the Young's modulus of elasticity as the stress by, it is the ratio of stress to the strain, and it can be calculated that stress is P by A and E strain is delta L by L, is change in length by original length. So from here capital E we can calculate P into L by delta L into A. So this is the Young's modulus of elasticity E. The unit of Young's modulus of elasticity we can calculate here sigma by E. So unit of sigma is stress is Newton per mm square or Pascal, megapascal, gigapascal, whatever you can take. And unit of strain is no unit. So we can calculate the unit of Young's modulus of elasticity will be same as the unit of stress, that is Newton per mm square, megapascal, gigapascal, Pascal. So now we will solve one numerical based on this Hooke's law. So here it is shown, a steel rod 1 meter long and 20 mm by 20 mm in cross section is subjected to a tensile force of 40 kilonewton. Determine the elongation of the rod. Elongation of the rod means delta L, change in length. If modulus of elasticity for the rod material is 200 gigapascal. So first of all we will write the given data. Here given length is given, that is 1 meter, we can write it into 1 into 10 to the power 3 mm. Next, cross sectional area is given 20 into 20, that is 400 mm square, and the tensile force P it is acting, that is 40 kilonewton. We can convert it into Newton, that is 40 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. And next is modulus of elasticity, capital E, that is given 200 gigapascal, and 1 gigapascal means 10 to the power 9 Pascal. 1 gigapascal means 10 to the power 9 Pascal, and 1 Pascal means 1 Newton per meter square. So we can convert that meter into mm, and we will get 1 Newton per meter square. It means 1 Pascal equal to 10 to the power minus 6 Newton per mm square. So if you convert the 200 gigapascal to Newton per mm square, we will get 10 to the power 3, 200 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per mm square. So this is the given data. Now it is asking elongation. Elongation means change in length. So right now I told capital E equal to P into L by delta L into A. From there formula we can get delta L equal to P into L by A into E. We will substitute all the value. P equal to 40 into 10 to the power 3, L equal to 1 into 10 to the power 3, area equal to 400, and capital E value equal to 20 into 10 to the power 3. After calculating this, we got change in length, delta L value equal to 0.5 mm. That is the answer. That is the answer of this question. Next we will solve one more numerical. Here it is. A hollow cylinder 2 meter long has an outside diameter of 50 mm. The hollow cylinder is there, which length is 2 meter, that is 2000 mm. Has an outside diameter is 50 mm and inside diameter 30 mm. If the cylinder is carrying a load of 25 kilonewton, load applied is 25 kilonewton, means 25 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. Find the stress in the cylinder. Stress sigma. Also find the deformation of the cylinder, means change in length. If the value of modulus of elasticity for the cylinder material is 100 gigapascal, capital E value is given 100 gigapascal. So first of all we write the given data. So given is length is 2 meter, 2 into 10 to the power 3 mm. Outside diameter, capital D, we are saying, we just say that it is capital D, that is equal to 50 mm. Inside diameter of the cylinder is 30 mm, and the load applied P is 25 kilonewton, means 25 into 10 to the power 3 Newton, and modulus of elasticity capital E is given 100 gigapascal, means 100 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per mm square. So first of all we calculate the area, and area is we can calculate by 4 into capital D square minus small d square. Capital D value is 50 mm, small d value is 30 mm. So substitute this value and we got the 1257 mm square. That is the cross sectional area of the cylinder. Now stress formula, we know that force applied divided by the area, cross sectional area. Force is given 25 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. Area we have right now, we have calculated 1257. Substitute this value and we'll get the sigma value. Stress value is 19.9 Newton per mm square. That is 19.9 megapascal. It is also asking the change in dimension or deformation in the cylinder. So deformation formula, we know that delta L equal to PL by A into E. We substitute all this value. P value 25 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. L value is 2 into 10 to the power 3 mm. Area is 1257 mm square, and E value is 100 into 10 to the power 3 megapascal or Newton per mm square. After solving these values, we got 0.4 mm. That is the answer. This numerical completed. Next, one more numerical is there. A square bar of 20 mm side is held between two rigid plates. In the diagram, one square bar is there with two ends A and C are rigidly fixed and loaded by an axial force P equal to 450 kilonewton. An axial force P as shown there is acting downward direction, that is 450 kilonewton. Find the reactions at the ends A and C. It is asking find the reactions. Due to this load, definitely reactions will be there at point A and point C. So what is the reaction at point A and C? It is asking, and the extension of the portion AB. Extension of the portion AB. See, if you, in the diagram you can see, due to that load P, AB will increase whereas BC will decrease. So it is asking whatever change in length in AB, that will be equal to BC. So it is asking the extension in the portion AB and given E equal to 200 gigapascal. So first of all we will write the given data. Before that we will analyze these forces. So if you analyze this force here, it is given in this diagram. So at point B, load is acting downward direction, that is 450 kilonewton. Point B is, it is the part of portion AB as well as the portion BC. Okay. So let us say, due to the load acting at point B, the load in the portion AB is RA, or reaction force at point A is RA. So due to the reaction force RA, it is shown here upward direction RA, downward direction also it will, from Newton's third law, it will be RA. Okay. And similarly also we are taking RC, the reaction force at point C, that is in upward direction, and at point B RC is downward direction. So if you will see this diagram, second diagram, in that one RA at point B, RA and RC both are acting in opposite direction. At point B, RA and RC both are acting not in opposite direction, both are acting in the same direction at point B, and the total load acting at point B is 450 kilonewton. So therefore we can say RA plus RC, that is at point B only we are talking. So at point B, RA plus RC must be equal to the external load applied, that is 450 kilonewton. So RA plus RC is equal to 450 kilonewton. Okay. So now we'll write the given data. Area of the bar is given 20 into 20, that is 400 mm square. Axial force P is acting 450 kilonewton, that is 450 into 10 power 3 Newton. Modulus of elasticity capital E equal to 200 gigapascal, that is 200 into 10 power 3 Newton per mm square. Length of the portion AB is given, LAB we say, that is 300 mm, and the length of portion BC is given, that is 200 mm. We denote it as LBC. So now, first of all, I told that RA is acting at point, we can just consider RA is the reaction at point A and RC is the reaction at point C, and at point B RA and RC both are acting in the same direction, and total load acting at point B is 450 kilonewton. So that's why RA plus RC should be equal to 450. So this is the equation number 1. And now increase in the portion AB, we can calculate the as delta LAB is equal to RA into length of LB divided by area into E. So RA, we don't know, we need to calculate RA value. LAB is given 300, area is given 20 into 20, that is 400 mm square. E value is given. Right now for time being we are writing just as AE, we are writing as it is. So this is equation number 2. And also decrease in the portion BC, equal to delta LBC, that is we can write RC into LBC, length of the BC divided by area into E, that is equal to length of BC is given 200 mm. We substitute this value and this is the equation number 3. Now I told that point B is the part of portion AB as well as the part of portion BC. So in the question it is asking the find that by how much point B is moving or how much deformation is there for AB. So whatever change in length is there for AB, same length is there for same change in length is for BC. The difference is that if AB is elongating and BC is decreasing. So how much the AB will elongate, by the same dimension BC will contract or decrease. So from equation 2nd and equation 3rd, we can write delta L AB equal to delta L BC, and we substituted this value and we got RC equal to 1.5 of RA. Now from equation 1st, we know that RA plus RC equal to 450. Substitute this value RC equal to 1.5 RA and we got RA plus 1.5 RA equal to 450. From there we got RA equal to 180 kilonewton and RC equal to 270 kilonewton. That is the reactions at support A and C. Now the deformation in AB is deflection in AB. We can say delta LAB equal to RA into 300 by A into E, that we have written in equation number 2nd. Substitute this value RA 180 into 10 to the power 3 Newton into 300 divided by area is 20 into 2400 mm square. E value is given 200 into 10 to the power 3, that is 0.675 mm. That is the complete solution of this numerical. One more numerical is there. An aluminium bar 3 meter long and 2500 mm square in cross section is rigidly fixed at point A and D as shown in the figure. Determine the loads shared and stresses in each portion and the distances through which the points B and C moves. Take capital E for aluminium as 80 gigapascal. So this is the diagram shown. Point A and point D is fixed. At point B, a load is acting 200 kilonewton. At point C, load is acting 125 kilonewton. AB is equal to BC is equal to CD equal to 1 meter.
Here, first of all, we will write the given data, and the given data are total length of bar L equal to 3 meter, area of cross section capital A equal to 2500 mm square, modulus of elasticity capital E equal to 80 gigapascal, that is equal to 80 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per mm square, length of portion AB, that is equal to LAB equal to LBC equal to LCD equal to 1 meter, that is equal to 1 into 10 to the power 3 mm. Now let us consider PAB is the load shared by the portion AB, and PBC is load shared by the portion BC, and similarly PCD is the load shared by the portion CD. Since the bar is rigidly fixed at point A and D, therefore the portion AB will be subjected to tension, while the portion BC and CD will be subjected to compression as shown in the second figure. Moreover, increase in the portion AB will be equal to the sum of the decrease in portion BC and CD. Now from the geometry of the bar, we find that PAB plus PBC is equal to 200. From here we can write PAB equal to 200 minus PBC. This is the equation number 1. And again we can write PCD minus PBC equal to 125. From here we can write PCD is equal to 125 plus PBC. This is equation number 2. Now we know that the change in length or increase in length of the portion AB, change in length in the portion AB. So delta LAB we can write it as PAB into LAB divided by area into Young's modulus of elasticity. And PAB we want to find out, it we will write as it is 1 into 10 to the power 3. This is also same for all. We'll write like this, A into A. This is equation number 3. Now like that similarly we can write for BC and CD. Delta LBC PBC into LBC divided by A into E, that is equal to PBC 1 into 10 to the power 3 divided by A into E, equation number 4. And delta L CD is equal to PCD into LCD divided by A into E is equal to PCD 1 into 10 to the power 3, because length is equal for all, A into E. This is equation number 5. So if you substitute all this, I told that change in length in AB, in portion AB, will be equal to the change in length in portion BC plus change in length in portion CD. So from there, if you'll add delta LAB is equal to delta LBC plus delta LCD. After substituting these values from equation number 3rd, 4 and 5th, we got PAB equal to PBC plus PCD. Now substituting the value of PAB and PCD from equation number 1st and 2nd in this equation, then we will get 200 minus PBC equal to PBC plus 125 plus PBC. So from here we can solve 3 PBC is equal to 200 minus 125 equal to 75 kilonewton. From here we can calculate PBC equal to 25 kilonewton. This is the PBC. Now substitute this value of PBC in equation number 1st and 2nd, and we will get PAB is equal to 200 minus 25 equal to 175 kilonewton, and after substituting in equation second we will get PCD is equal to 125 plus PBC, that is 25, equal to 150 kilonewton. So these three are the answer that is asking the load in each portion, load shared by the each portion. Now stresses in each portion it is asking. So stress, we know that stress equal to force by area. So a stress can be calculated as sigma AB, sigma AB, stress in portion AB, that is equal to P AB divided by area. PAB is 175, right now we have calculated, into 10 to power 3 divided by 2500, that is equal to 70 Newton per mm square. You can write it, that is in tension, it is tensile force, it is acting. Now sigma BC is equal to PBC divided by A, that is equal to 25 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 2500, equal to 10 Newton per mm square, that it was acting in compression. Okay. Similarly, we can calculate sigma CD, a stress in CD is equal to PCD divided by area A is equal to PCD is 125 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 150 into 10 to power 150 into 10 to power 3 divided by 2500 is equal to 60 Newton per mm square. This is also in compression. So it was asking the stresses developed in each portion. So this is the answer for that question. Now it is asking the change in position of point B and point C. So for that purpose we can calculate the change in length in AB and change in length in CD. Then we can easily get the change in position of point B as well as point C. So for that purpose we know that delta L AB, change in length P into L by A into E. So P AB into L AB divided by A into E. P value in AB is 175. LAB, so 175 into 10 to power 3 we will write. LAB length 1 into 10 to power 3 divided by 2500 is the area, and 80 into 10 to power 3 is the Young's modulus of elasticity, and that value is 0.875 mm. It means point B will move from 0.875 mm towards C because it is in tension. Similarly, delta L BC, so CD will be equal to PCD into LCD divided by A into E. So PCD is 150 into 10 to the power 3 into 1 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 2500 into 80 into 10 to the power 3. So from here we got 0.75 mm towards point D. So this is the delta CD is telling the deflection of point C towards point D by 0.75 mm. That is the complete solution of this numerical.
That's all for today class. We will continue this in next lecture. So all of you practice well. Thank you very much.